So we'll move on to human factors and slower roads. And this is where we move away from thinking about just how we can regulate through signage to how can we regulate through, or how can we impact on human behaviour through the physical design and shape of the transport system. These guidelines that we've applied over most of 100 years don't really help with providing pedestrian-like environments and slow areas to move around. We tend to make driving too easy, and there's a sort of counterintuitive thing that happens here, that as we get familiar with the driving experience, our brain seeks to add more tasks to maintain a certain level of action. So you can think of a road trip where you just get bored because everything's the same. You start increasing the demand to occupy your brain so as you don't get bored. So this could be putting music on, listening to the radio, listening to the news, or inattentive things like picking up your mobile phone, because I'm coping with this sort of task driving just fine and I start to do other things. So how do we ensure that people driving both slow down and pay more attention when making things simple just means they go and look for other things to do while still driving? We could make them feel less safe on the road and give them more tasks to do that occupy their mind. We could use signs to tell people how to act. So how effective is this sign in this environment? And I wonder if there's a better way to provide people with the notion that they should slow down. Maybe we could use something like this that occupies the road space, makes it narrower, and actually gives them a little bit more information to process to make sure they don't hit the curb, they don't hit the tree, they don't hit all these things. So self-explaining roads are those where the human factors are thought about very well, and we end up with design of the road that takes that into account. The road classes have very distinct design standards, so a local road should look very different to an arterial road, and we should simplify decision making, but have less artificial traffic devices. We're looking for unique road elements that are homogeneous within a category but different from all other categories. We're looking for unique behaviour for specific categories. And we want drivers and all road users to psychologically interpret certain road categories and certain connections as a single unit. So the category defining properties need to be visible at night. The road needs to have some very clear direction in terms of where people should be, who they should be giving priority to, and what sort of speed they should be travelling at. Ensure that all road elements can actually achieve the role we want them to fulfil. And all the traffic control systems should be, in some sense, uniquely linked to specific types of roads. So we're not going to be showing certain signs on local roads, and we're not going to be showing certain local road signs on freeways, because they're not going to be associated with that category of road by the users. So now just a short note on other modes and how human factors affect other modes. I want you to consider on your own, after the presentation, how human factor affects the use of other modes. Mode share is a function of individuals' needs and preferences, the information they have available, their own value judgments, and decisions and choices that they make, or sometimes even other people around them are making. So one person doesn't want to catch the train in a group of people, and then nobody catches the train because they all decide they'll drive to meet that other person's needs or desires. So now consider the specific things that affect you when you're choosing how to travel somewhere. And then I want you to consider the specific things that affect others when they are walking, riding a bicycle, driving a bus, or driving a train. And this will give you some expanded understanding of how the range of human factors influence not just driving a car, which is one example, but also all other facets of the transport system and all modes. So in summary, we need to remember that all humans are irrational, unpredictable, and very limited in their abilities, particularly at high speed. Understanding human behaviour and the limitations is going to significantly improve the operation of any transport system. The techniques that we should apply to high-speed roads and low-speed environments are very different because we want to give very specific cues to all the users of that space about what the expectations are. And we need to remember that providing these cues consistently across an urban environment or across any environment is part of the long-term approach to ensuring that our brains know a stop sign when we see a stop sign and it doesn't look like a give way sign in Japan. So that's why there's even approaches around international standards for these things, because it's not just easier for visitors to another country, but it's easier for everyone whenever they are anywhere doing these complex tasks. Hopefully that was useful, and we'll see you in class this week.